Okay, perfect. So I think we've got a few people that have joined now, so we can kick off this. I think it's the fourth town hall now that we've done as a community this year. This one focused around the Halloween Mayhem event this year. So as usual, unusual town hall rules. So if you want to speak and contribute anything to discussion, you can either right-click your own name in the audience on Discord and request to speak, and I think there's a couple of other buttons that you can use as well. When you join the stage, if you can do, introduce yourself, who you are in game, kind of how long you've been playing, and kind of generally what you like to do or what your main kind of in-game profession is, um, just to give a bit of context for people who might not know who you are. And yeah, I think those are the ground rules. If we can try and keep kind of topics, comments, and uh, kind of input to one general kind of area at a time, just to help keep the conversation flowing around the kind of pre-prepared questions. And as always, I've got some time carved out at the end of the town hall for more general feedback questions, general conversation topics for people, kind of like an open mic, if people want to flag other stuff at this session. So then I think we can properly kick off. So I think the first area that I wanted to touch on was survival. So obviously survival in Halloween Mayhem, we've got the defense at Easter and some of the other more uh, specific kind of engaging content around Mayhem with the scaled difficulty curve. So kind of question one and two here. So for those who have kind of entered survival, kind of how far through survival do you tend to push? How do people find the difficulty curve? Is there a right balance of using skills versus gear and consumables? Kind of can it be too easily cheesed with money? And secondly, we've got one around kind of rewards versus effort. So kind of if you look at the reward structure across the stages, do people feel like what you get back for the effort you put in is fair? Do you feel that kind of mayhem tokens, skill gains, attributes, strongbox rewards are adequate? Do people push for kind of certain rewards because of that, or do people think that there are better rewards that could be offered as part of survival? So they're the kind of guidance questions. So uh, open to people if anyone wants to unmute themselves or request to speak. Can bring people up and get some feedback going. Bit of a tumbleweed question, that one. I don't know. I think I was looking through the post on the forums earlier on today, and I know there were a couple of comments there from people. I think potentially a couple in the call as well. But if there's no specific feedback on survival, we can circle back later on. But Hallie wants to speak.
Hello, hello. I was just trying to be polite and keep back a little bit before I start yapping. Um, in terms of rewards, there wasn't a single reward that I needed. There wasn't anything that I liked. I don't need any more visual tokens. I don't need any tokens because there's nothing I can buy for my tokens. Um, I really want to grind. I really want to play, but like there's no string for me doing a lot of effort until I get something that I want. I can't plan anything. I can't expect anything. Uh, I might not be the typical player, but I like to plan ahead. I like to apply myself towards a goal. And when there's no carrot in the end, if you will, I have no reason to even try. And I'm not setting myself up to be disappointed yet again. It already happened once, and this time there was again no reward. So why would I? That's it.
No, thanks, Hallie. So yeah, so I think there's a very the person requesting to speak there. I'll invite them up. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of I think rewards currently sat unclaimed in the cosmetic kind of token vendor. Um, Probably an open question to add to the rewards versus effort. Do people kind of see that as a prize and something that interests them? Is there anything else in the cosmetic vendor that people would like to see? But yeah, Bambi.
Hey, you guys hear me?
Yep. Yeah, if you can
Okay.
kind of introduce yourself, kind of to the
Yep.
wider group, that would be awesome.
Yep. My name is Bambi Death. Some of you guys may have heard of me, some may have not. That's not really relevant. But in terms of the mayhem, uh, like Hallie did say, the incentive is there for some that commit to the long grind of finishing all the stages. But it is also like a thing with lower level players can't progress after a certain level. Your gear or skills or whatever it is, budget does get, in a sense, capped. So it is a bit like concerning for lower players or lower level people that they can't progress in that, and the reward, like for their small progress that they make, they feel like it might not be rewarded. I mean, something like the pills that dropped on Next Island would have been nice as a reward, like quality of life buffs. That instead of those candy cans or the tokens, because low level players they might not be able to really use those tokens besides pills. So it's more of a, I guess, the options available to, in a sense, give people more of a carrot. Different options is a little bit limited at the moment, and most people right now feel like the tokens, like Hallie said, are not really useful if they're not grinding it or plugging at a long term. Which I mean is a good thing to do long term, but short term, people need to have like a smaller goal. I guess that's what I really wanted to say, though.
No, thanks, Bambi. I think a kind of a follow-up question. I don't know if anyone here in the audience has any anecdotal experience being kind of lower skilled, kind of having kind of less gear to attempt these things with. Because I know from back in the day, Easter defense, there was very real walls at even kind of like stage 3, 5, where suddenly you just couldn't really even kind of begin to kind of continue. It just the scaling kind of outscaled you a bit too quickly. But does anyone here has anyone experienced that kind of trying to participate? Did people get hard stuck trying to participate in survival this year? But otherwise, there was a couple of questions, or one question in the chat there that I see. Any attempts to do a survival that is with streamlined gear or with rentable limited gear? You hit a point where you really just don't have enough good weapons to push no matter the skill. Just an idea. They did like the old competitions. I think a follow-up. So, you is that referring to actually having kind of a predetermined loadout? So, kind of normalize gear, normalize that side of kind of the entry to the competition of mayhem. Is that what you're getting at there? No, that does make sense. I think there's always the option. Kind of, I think maybe not the option for everyone, but kind of there are obviously high tier weapons that exist in game to rent, high tier limited. Yeah, but yeah, it's obviously kind of if people don't have the means to participate, it kind of does cut people out kind of quite rapidly. No, I agree that competition is definitely nice. Kind of when there's like normalization and playing fields. But yeah, I think there also kind of needs to kind of have a bit of a balance as well. So it's kind of something that kind of you can have more than one area to compete. You can have normalized kind of ranked ladders of kind of competition, but you can also have kind of you bring your own gear as well. I don't think it necessarily needs to even be one or the other. I know, and Aqua feedback there. They didn't hunt survival at all this year. Did one stage, found it boring. Constant repeat of previous years. But no, yeah, that makes sense. Probably trying to approach this from a different angle. Is 30 stages enough? So we've got a couple of people here, probably looking at you specifically, Eve. Sorry to single you out. Um, could there be more stages? Would that kind of bring interest if there was essentially uncapped number of stages scaling infinitely? Would that also kind of breathe a bit more competition? See who in the game can get the highest. Back to that one once Eve's sorted out his audio. But no, so I think we're starting to get into subsequent topics that I wanted to chat around. So for now, I'm going to move on to the next slide. Questions. So I think before we go into actual rewards and the incentives, because I think that's where a lot of people have got a huge amount of feedback to give to Mindark. Obviously, this mayhem was the first mayhem where the monsters were kind of the mobs were in the world and not in instance mostly. So all the world zombie spawn, so kind of the ones on the Amathera land areas or around the other continent forts and places. Um, how have people found actually it being in world versus in instance? I know there are pros and cons to both approaches. Do people enjoy the format of it not being instance based? And uh, would they like to see this format kind of continued? Secondly, daily missions. The 10 stage mayhem token daily mission where you get incrementally more mayhem tokens for each stages. Does that need readjusting and modernizing essentially? Does it need more stages? Do people specifically look to complete that every day, or is it just a kind of a nice to have? But no, any feedback on those two question points? So seeing a couple of things in chat around kind of griefing AFK botters and people making the open world spawns uh, a little bit more annoying to hunt in than being in an instance. Let's see any other comments around the open world side of things. Probably on Hatley's point there, did people notice many players trying to kidnap and actively interfering with other people's gameplay while hunting this mayhem? I think mainly just as a kind of like an FYI, if people do see that type of behavior, Mindark are definitely looking to actively curb space kidnapping. So if it gets reported, Mindark should be acting on it. So definitely 100% if you do notice that happening, and especially during events like this mayhem, it should 100% be flagged. But no, I think at least anyone else want to have any input around the new format. Otherwise, I think my next one is more around the rewards of Mayhem, which I think looking at kind of people responses and PCF today, that's where a lot of the feedback potentially lies. All right, it's okay, Bonnie. I'll think of a appropriate way to get back at you one day. I'm sure. Okay, so Mayhem rewards. What's people's feeling around Mayhem rewards? Is there enough variety in the rewards that currently exist? And I think I know a lot of the opinions on this one. But 100% feel free to actually come on and chat about things. I think this is where a lot of the feedback is matters the most for Mind Arc. And also feedback on the new limited items that were added and available this time around. The new limited chips, the Implant, and the Strongbox, the one that came out the Strongbox. Kind of, what do people also think about the new implants and the new approaches trying to find different buffs and different places to put rewards? But no, I think I see someone requesting to speak there.
I'll try and keep it simple. Um, you can't speak about variants or different options in loot or in prices or in things to buy when there is nothing to buy. Not a single new exceptional item was added. There was apparently added some blueprints and they got rid of them the first day because, as always, Mindark is behind. There's still so many like piled up tokens that things got taken on day one. It's still only available from Cali, forcing people to either be on Cali or go to Cali to participate. If you can't know when the items become available, you can't plan. Again, it comes down to planning. We are grown up people with lives and works and family. We like to plan ahead. We like to take days off to game and enjoy the game and get the rewards. So, if Mindag really want to stop being the focus of so much negativity, they should allow us to actually participate on the level that we choose and have fun the way we choose by giving us options. Tell me what I can expect and when I can expect it. So yeah, that's it.
No, thanks, Hallie. So I think I heard there 100% if there's a global universe-wide event, it should be kind of everyone, no matter which planet they're on, should be able to participate kind of equally. That means kind of accessing vendors and things. Um, and also kind of not gating it around kind of 24/7 availability of the game, and allowing people to actually select what potential, not necessarily what reward, but how they want to kind of participate in these events. You know, on the new limited chips, kind of, I think a couple of people mentioned that they kind of great, good in RDI. Would people like to see those added as like exceptional items or as rewards into Mayhem? Kind of more actual, kind of longer use versions of them that can kind of stick around longer. Because I imagine even with the supply of them that dropped this Mayhem, they're gonna dry up after a matter of months or even weeks, depending on how actively people are using them. So how about the implant, the glass cannon one? Would anyone be actively kind of using that? Kind of obviously kind of DPP increase, but at quite a significant trade-off. Um, do people perceive the trade-off and the benefits of that kind of as something that they would actively use, or is it kind of something that they see as kind of exceptionally kind of situational? And I do, just catching up with the chat, I do agree with Aqua Frostar there that kind of glass cannon versus the actual buff that it gives is quite a misnomer. I think it was 3% kind of flat damage increase. And yeah, you would expect a little bit more at least, kind of looking at kind of the use of glass cannon in other games. But aside from that, kind of obviously the elephant in the room is going to be the Mayhem vendor, the unlimited items, and the limited items as well. Um, I think there's always if I'm looking at something like PCF, there's half of PCF is wanting to push for more unlimited items in loot, and the other half of PCF doesn't want any more unlimited items to drop. How what rewards do people want to see in these kind of events? Kind of is it more unlimited weapons, armor? Kind of other things that people would like to see in terms of rewards? I see a few people typing. I will bring Hallie back up. Hallie is not shy.
No, Hallie is not shy. This has been talked about on PCF, and this has been talked about on Discord too. But I'll mention it for this event too. I think it would be a really great idea to have more options of what you can purchase with the items. Why not make it available to get limited or unlimited spaceships and give us more options? Even allow people that are really hardcore grinding to save up for a land area. Allow them to take shops, booth, whatever. Give people a variety of items, and preferably not something that is DPS or armor related. Something for all the other options in the game. Um, we need people to use tokens for something that doesn't just devalue the weapons market. We need people to purchase stuff that they want to play with, they want to use, where there's still a need for it. So adding 5 minor ships, adding a land area that costs 750,000 tokens and 50 rares or whatever it needs to be for it to happen. Allow people to go for the long run and plan for something really cool. This has been my journey in Entropia for the last 6 to 8 years, working towards getting a unlimited Mind Force chip from Mayhem vendor. Um, it has been a really good, and it was almost snuffed in the end. They keep raising the price and dragging it out, and I felt so stupid for going along. And when they added the resource mayhem and almost broke it all in half, it just got so frustrating. Um, so make good plans, allow us to again plan proper ourselves and work towards something that is cool. I would like to even buy the glass cannon implant for my mayhem tokens. Yeah, that's it.
No, thanks, Hallie. I think probably to follow on from Hallie's comments there. I know there's obviously been a lot of people that have been burnt by the Mayhem tokens and stocks drying up and kind of restocks causing kind of people to be unsure about kind of if they're going to be able to pull the item that they want. So obviously, I think from my own personal kind of opinion, I'm not sure whether a token-based kind of format is the right way to go because I think there's always going to be a risk that kind of goalposts kind of can move. There's going to be a point where anything might be kind of sunsetted, and that always is going to come with a risk, even if there's kind of a really long form event like Mayhem, where people have had multiple kind of like a decade plus to accumulate tokens. But is there kind of trying to reframe it as kind of if everyone here had like a magic wand and they could completely overhaul the entire reward structure of kind of events like Mayhem, how would you envision that happening? If you could design kind of the perfect way to kind of give rewards out for participating in an event like Mayhem, what would it look like? Yeah, welcome back, Bambi.
Yep. Regarding the format that we have now, I mean, if I was to revamp it, some people have said tiers, but it would probably be similar like the beacon system that we have with Calypso. So in a sense, it would be like one instance where everybody can enter. That way, that if you don't have any Mayhem tokens to start, that's where you would start to grind. Regular token drops, maybe do strong boxes at the end for some kind of RNG for rare loot. Um, and out of that, maybe you have to craft a key or some kind of instance key using Mayhem tokens, like a blueprint, to enter a second tier instance where that would be where the more dedicated, higher level players that want to basically take a higher risk to reward ratio to offer special limited items you can put in there, like I don't know, like a universal storage tool that you can basically access any storage from all the planets on whichever planet you are. That's just one example. Like there would be more incentive for that kind of dungeon or instance where you're using your tokens to craft keys to enter that second instance, which allows you to keep basically grinding to cycle them, but you're also getting exclusive items or limited items that will help. Like I said, that storage key could be one thing. It could be another one that's like like a auto like sorting like inventory tool or a like different different quality of life. So it's not just necessarily unlimited items, but limited items that might allow the players to have a more advantage on anything that could be related to the game. Like auto loot could be any distance, doesn't have to be a specific distance anymore, or specific like limited items that could help with that. But that's just an idea. Anybody else might have better ideas than me. Just something I made up like 2 minutes ago.
Yeah, thanks, Bambi. So I've seen quite a few people talking about kind of actual just dropping items, so similar to the first phase of Twen, um, as opposed to the second phase of Twen, actually just items in loot. but I think probably thinking about how that translates to this kind of anecdotally, did people enjoy the first part of Twen or the second? I think there was more stable markup, and the second phase of Twen was very good for low kind of cycle kind of players and people just kind of playing cheaply. There was a lot of markup in loot, but obviously there wasn't as much kind of suspense and excitement. It was just tokens. So yeah, why not both? That's also a very good question. But I think that is kind of, at least in my mind, kind of what those two options tend to translate to, kind of like materialistically, kind of like the big rare and limited drops tend to be big high ticket kind of all-time high kind of levels of loot happening all at once, or the alternative with tokens, the objective or aim is to essentially bring yourself up above 100% return, even if it's by a couple of percent, to make gameplay kind of free, essentially, so you can sustain whatever level hunting you're currently doing. I think of like the best outcome probably would be to have a combination of both. Regular small markup in loot to bring players back up, but also those big items. No, that makes sense. I think thinking about your that suggestion of having kind of just kind of a filled vendor, I can remember a suggestion probably a couple of years ago now at this point, where instead of having a vendor, when you first kind of go into Mayhem, you pick a mission and you actually select which reward you're going to go for. So kind of in my example, I'd go into Mayhem and I would pick kind of a Mod Nano or an LP 120 perfected, and then you get a progress bar, and you have to fill that progress bar over the multiple Mayhems that you participate in, and then after you complete that progress bar, you're guaranteed to get that item. Versus the current way that it's implemented as a kind of a token system. Obviously, the downside to that approach is that you can't change your mind. But because I can remember that being posted, I think it might have been posted on the forums. But kind of there's obviously multiple ways to kind of approach that. No, and I do. Yeah, I do agree, especially with the feedback on the forum, that this mayhem did feel like it was the first one in a while that's really lacked, or after summer, a kind of a incentive to grind for. And I think that's been the a lot of the common feedback is that I think someone messaged me the other day saying kind of like I'm like trying to do mayhem, but I keep asking myself what's the point, and I think that has been definitely a common piece of feedback that I've seen from players. Cheers, Eve. That's obviously a fair bit of conversation happening in the chat as well. Trying to see if there's anything specifically to call out. I think Theo's comment there likes the game taking the approach of long-term efforts like the Siren Gum, Arc Armor, but there needs to be more than just extreme long-term grinds. Parable horrible, TT wise, but likes it when mobs can drop pills and things that are actually usable. Yeah, no, I think actually there was a lot of good feedback around the Next Island Halloween mobs in the Paris. Actually having something that has value and it has kind of is usable to players. Yeah, that did get quite a lot of good feedback. Okay, just mindful of time. Going to skip over into general feedback and discussion. Obviously, I still think there's the conversation around rewards and incentives and what drives people to play and push in the game is one that kind of isn't going to be fully tackleable on any town hall. It goes pretty deep. But opening the floor again, as usual, to just general feedback. Any other discussion points that people want to raise, if they have anything that they want to feedback. As usual, I'll kind of be compiling a detailed report on all of this and making sure that Mindark gets all of this feedback after this. So a couple of questions that I can already see. Obviously, some of these things I'm not going to be able to answer because again, I'm not kind of Mindark. Kind of, I don't have inner knowledge of anything going on at Mindark. But I can do my best on some things, or at least go away and try and get an answer, or prompt them to be more transparent around a certain area. But so going through these, general question: any plans for roadmaps for next island, Epic Island missions, or anything bug fixes? Um, I'm under the impression that Next Island will continue to receive updates in the future. I imagine kind of there would be updates for things and kind of like the threads that have been developed kind of ongoing. So hopefully, but I definitely can't say either way if there would be anything for the Epic Islander missions. But I believe it's the intention that Mindark's going to continue to develop Next Island. The question around losing most of your in-game notes, that bug is definitely, Mindark is very aware of that one. I'm not sure yet if the old notes are easily recoverable that have been lost, but Mindark's definitely aware of it on that one. Reading through Aqua's comment there, I think tokens should be removed and all Mayhem events should have specific items to the holiday event, say Halloween swords, cosmetics armor, drop, and make them mostly low, mid-level, and not high-end. No, I think as well having useful or kind of good more cosmetics added can definitely be a boost just for kind of these events. But no, awesome. More space updates, mission content. Yep, new ships, mining lasers, and asteroids. Tougher stance on cheaters in game, perhaps. I think at least my perception of that one is that I think Mindoc has been actually coming down a lot more on people abusing kind of different things, exploits, and I think there's been a number of occurrences in the last kind of a few months where Mindark has been actively enforcing kind of policy and making sure that the game is fairer for all. So I at least fingers crossed that Mindark is looking to put more and more energy and effort into making the game fair and not letting people take advantage of other players or Mindark. So I think there's a positivity coming from that side. Let's either hire an economist to balance things before making any more content. And I think 100% that I think one thing that kind of Mindark will always need to do is make sure that they're taking a view of what impact adding something to the game is going to have on the economy. And I think that doesn't always seem very apparent that they've really thought things through, or that they're kind of adding more markup instead of taking it away from somewhere else. And 100% on making boxes stack automatically in the inventory. That one, I'm not sure why that one is still a thing. That definitely needs to get resolved. Probably just a question for you, Hallie, on your comment there, like making a way where players can actually bring issues to the table, where a single mod can't just whitewash his own bad behavior. Are you referring to just not being able to participate in PCF as the main kind of public issue reporting forum for the game? Yeah, and yeah, to echo that point, I definitely am not going to be able to kind of. I can definitely comment and bring the feedback back that people are unhappy with the moderation on PCF and that side of things. But yeah, I think kind of at least to a broader sense of things, I think Mindark are aware of that as well, as these Socrates will be, as he definitely frequents the Discord enough to know that, I think. But no, I think we're running close to time. Hallie requests to speak, but probably I've got about 5 minutes left this evening, sadly.
Yeah, I'll just bring up a point that I hear hundreds of times a week still. Give us some kind of update on where we are with Unreal Engine. It is really, really, really causing so much heartache and issue for people. We don't know what's going on, and we keeps getting frustrated. And Planet partners are either doing nothing or being very slow or whatever is going on. And half the planets are now Mindark owned, and Ares keep pumping out stuff, but there's no advancement on that stupid altar. Or it's just the same grind, and it's weeks after week and month after month, and now years after year, and we hear nothing. it is not a good way to handle customers. That's it.
No, 100%. Thanks, Ali. Uh, Sis, to end on a hopefully positive note, how are you doing? Have you seen behind the scenes some impact of the town hall? At least it feels cool that we can give feedback. I know, so I do have a a post that I've got approved from Mindark. So one thing that I wanted to do as becoming kind of the community liaison was actually doing a periodic report of actually all the conversations I have with Mindark, actually kind of going into the impact of the work that I'm doing and all of the conversations and chats that I'm having, and kind of highlighting at least or trying to make sure that my impact is positive, kind of behind the scenes in air quotes. I'm kind of got something kind of like greenlit now to post out. So I think in the coming hopefully week or two, I'll be able to drop something onto the forum. But it's a full rundown of the last 6 months of weekly conversations with Mindark, things like kind of all the support cases and areas that we've kind of spoken about, and actually the positives and the amount of feedback that's gone through me to Mindark that's actually resulted in positive change kind of within the game, and it's actually a lot more substantial than I was expecting it to be. So I think I'm still positive that I've seen a lot of good movement, and a lot of kind of Mindark's definitely picked up the ball instead of dropping the ball. I think in a number of areas in the last 6 months or so. So I'm hoping that kind of, while in some cases it's always going to be little steps, and kind of things improving every week, every month. But there's definitely a lot of areas that they do need to improve on, and at least they're receptive to feedback. Okay, well, I think that at least can end it a bit more positively. Oh, Theo's got one last thing. No, no, I think that's actually a good suggestion. Kind of allowing players to actually make custom choices and upgrade things and put buffs on things. I think I can remember making a very similar suggestion a couple of years ago to Next Island, having kind of backpack kind of banners based on the the Cyclopses, that you could customize a specific buff depending on how many kind of different types of mobs you killed. But no, awesome. Okay, well, as usual, kind of people want to drop into the main voice chat and continue chatting. Um, I will also feed that back to the web dev guy who's been working on the account side of the website. But no, thanks a lot, everyone, for attending and participating. And see you around in game.